Based on the previous video, you may be under the impression that species counterpoint involves writing two melodies. However, this is not the case. One of the voices, often the lower one, is a melody called a Cantus Firmus, which is Latin for fixed voice. The Cantus Firmus is a given melody, and in species counterpoint, it is our goal to write a second melody against this fixed or unalterable voice. Today, we are going to look at some of the basic rules and guidelines for writing a good Cantus Firmus. If we know what makes a good Cantus Firmus, we will hopefully be more prepared to identify some of the inherent qualities of a good counterpoint melody as well. Here are some of the rules which we are required to abide by. A Cantus Firmus should be somewhere between 8 to 12 notes of equal duration in length. They're typically written as whole notes. Less than 8 notes is far too limiting regarding creating a variety of contour, and more than 12 notes, well, remember that we want to complete vocal performance of these melodies in a single breath from beginning to end. The range of our melody should remain rather narrow, with a limit of a tenth. The range of our melodies in the last video was a sixth and a fifth. A tenth is almost twice as wide, so it shouldn't be necessary to push against this intervallic boundary. A Cantus Firmus needs to begin and end on the tonic pitch. Moreover, it should be the same tonic pitch. In other words, our melody shouldn't end an octave higher than it began. Starting at a lower tonic is better because I want your melodic motion to happen all above the tonic. Your Cantus Firmus melody, unlike your counterpoint melody, can only use diatonic pitches. So no chromaticisms, no accidentals anywhere in the Cantus Firmus. Remember that the counterpoint melody can have a chromaticism preceding the final to create the leading tone when you are in a minor key. Since I want your melodic motion to always be above the opening and closing tonic in your Cantus Firmus, you will not use a leading tone before the final. Instead, you are required to approach it from above, meaning you will move towards the final, always using scale degrees 2 to 1. Please notice that all of these examples of Cantus Firmi end scale degree 2 to 1. Your melody should not include dissonant leaps, such as augmented or diminished intervals, or sevenths. Melodic motion of major-minor seconds and perfect fourths, however, are okay. A Cantus Firmus also can't leap an interval larger than an octave. Although your melody should be mostly stepwise in motion, you can write consecutive skips and leaps if they outline a consonant triad. In this example, measures 4 through 6 skip up a third from D to F, and then leaps up from F to B flat. The pitches D, F, and B flat are all part of the B flat major triad. By the way, I define a skip to be a melodic third, and a leap to be anything greater than a third, so fourths and higher. Consecutive leaps cannot outline dissonant intervals. Again, those dissonant intervals are augmented and diminished intervals, and any kind of sevenths. For example, here the C skips up a third to E, and then leaps up a fifth to B. The compound interval of these consecutive leaps is a seventh, a dissonant interval which must be avoided. We should also avoid writing a linear gesture that outlines a dissonant interval. For example, here the F starts a scalar ascent up to B. While rising scales aren't really a problem, the first and last notes of this scale fragment outline a tritone, an augmented fourth. The apex, or the highest pitch of your melodies, should only appear once. Also avoid having the apex on the leading tone. This is a very dissonant pitch, although having a subtonic apex is just fine. Alright, that's a lot of rules for writing a little melody, but unfortunately we're not quite done. We also have some guidelines we need to consider. These are less strict than the rules, but still important to think about. For the sake of continuity, your melodies should be mostly stepwise motion. But for the sake of variety, you should include a few leaps and allow the melodic line to change direction several times. Remember that our melodies from the previous video used two main gestures, so make sure your melodies have long and short-term gestural goals instead of meandering around aimlessly. Avoid making consecutive skips and leaps in opposite directions. For example, if C skips up to E and then leaps back down to B, this would break that rule about consecutive leaps needing to outline a consonant triad. Leaps, meaning melodic intervals larger than a third, should be both prepared and followed by a change in stepwise direction. For example, if you want to write a melodic leap of a sixth from F up to D, the leap up should be prepared by a G, a step above F. It should also be resolved with a C, a step below D. Think of it as anticipating and recovering from a leap. Skips of a third, however, don't need to be prepared or recovered. Finally, avoid repeating a group of notes, either at the same pitch level or as a sequence. Repetition and here's a sequence. Repetitions, and especially sequences, are useful ways to expand or develop a melodic idea, but in a short melody of only 8 to 12 notes, we want to avoid this kind of internal emphasis. Similarly, we don't want to create idle moments in the melodic line either, where it sounds like we are simply decorating a single note. Since we are neighboring the G the whole time, the line becomes stagnant, doesn't seem to know where to go. I know that's a lot to think about, but there is a handout on Blackboard summarizing all of this, creatively named Rules and Guidelines for Writing a Cantus Firmus. There is also a homework assignment called Assignment 10, Writing a Cantus Firmus. This is ideally due on Thursday, April the 2nd. You should be able to submit this on Blackboard. If you need extensions to due dates, please let me know and I guarantee we can work something out. So until next time, take it easy and be well.